I call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order. It's January 25th, 6 o'clock. I have to read this about the reason why we're going with the Zoom. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law C-30A, Section 20, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Northfield Finance Committee will be conducted by a remote participation to the greatest extent possible. A record of the proceedings will be posted on the Town of Northfield website as soon as possible after the meeting. And I'm going to move past the review of the minutes because other people are here already to be interviewed. So at first on our agenda is the fiscal 22 budget request of the library. Most of you people that we're interviewing tonight are and know our procedure, and that is that we don't make any decisions at this time. We're talking to you about your budget, about any, mainly we want to know what any increases represent, why you have them. And then after we finish all of our budget discussions and capital requests, then we see what money we've got and how far it'll go. And that's basically what you've all been doing right along anyway. So Deb and John, you're here. I don't know, Tony called me a few minutes before the meeting, and I tried to send 2 of the budgets, but I don't know that they went through. So he may not have the budget. So
I don't seem to have it either, Lois.
You don't?
I don't have it either. Is it this zip drive thing? That's what I ran into. There it is right here. I got it.
There you go. All right. Well, actually, I'll let them tell you, but there's not much change in it, right, Deb?
That's right. Deb, you take it.
You're on mute.
There, you're unmuted now.
Okay, good. There is no change except for a step increase for our maintenance person. Just one mistake that I made. The new accounting system is including Northfield Farms in a line item in our budget. So that $700 is in our budget. But when I totaled our budget, I added that again. So my figures are off by $700.
Too high then.
Yeah.
It's in twice, you say.
Yeah. So my bottom line figure is 176.70 and 58 cents.
Right.
And with the numbers that figure is $700 short for the state aid requirement. Yeah. But the figures that Andrea gave me with the COLA make the bottom line figure 178,343, which is within the COLA. I mean, within our state aid requirement. It's $1,500 more than our state aid requirement.
Okay, so this figure she's got here of 176,768 for state aid, is that correct?
176,768 for state aid is correct.
Okay. Some of this is some of the way she's doing things, which is we've got to either get used to the change or make it different. How do you feel about including the Farms Library in there? We've always had it separate. I've always talked with them. I would never call them in, but I mean, I've always gotten a figure from them.
I'm afraid I just don't want it to add anything to our requirements for the state. They file their state aid separately. I think it would be better if it was not a line item, but it's not a big deal. It's just weird. I mean, they're a private library.
Yes, and the town has already contributed a small amount to the operation.
Right, so it's odd that it's actually a line item in our budget, but we can certainly live with it.
Okay, so if we leave it in there, we're not throwing you off as far as the figure you need for the state.
No, because I did, well, first time around I included it twice.
Okay.
Second time around I took it out.
Okay.
So you want me to go through it line by line for the people who don't have the budget?
I don't think so. We're pretty familiar with your budgets, and
The only increase besides the step increase for the custodian is that the CW Mars
yes, increase.
Mars went up by like $67. It looks like it went from 6527 to 6591.
Okay. All right. Did anybody else have any questions?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
hey,
No.
The thing is that we've, in the past, the budget sheets have gone out by the accountant. And though the accounting system has changed, I realize. So you didn't have the COLA in there. It would go back in and the accountant would put the COLAs in afterward. This year, the COLAs have been added in before you got the figures, I believe.
Well, Andrea was able to redo it with the COLA. So I do have that, which is good because I'd like to keep the number as close to the state aid requirement as I can.
Sure, okay. Deb, I know every year I ask you this, the finance committee people haven't changed, but we may have other people on that don't know what we're talking about. Will you just give a quick explanation of that state requirement?
Sure. For state aid, our budget has to increase 2.25% over 3 years. So if it's reduced, and this year, if it's reduced more than 10%, usually it's 5%. If it's reduced more than 10%, you have to go to Boston with the town accountant to discuss why it was reduced 10%. Because of COVID, they changed the requirement so that usually you'd have to go to Boston if it were 5% less than is required. This year it's 10% less. They're giving a little leeway. If we don't meet the state aid requirement, then no one from the town of Northfield will be able to use libraries outside of the town. We won't be certified, and that lasts for 3 years.
And as far as I can recall, we've never had to go to Boston. We've never violated this, right? We've always come up with the money.
Yes.
And let's hope we can keep it that way.
And for our part, we're trying to make some changes in the budget, trying to keep it as close to that requirement as we can, which is why it's really important for us to know the COLA before we do we're doing the budget.
I see that now, yes. Okay. Are there any, you didn't have any capital requests this year, I believe.
No.
Okay, good. Anybody else on the finance committee have any questions?
I'm good.
No,
I'm fine.
I don't have a question, but if Deb thinks that field library ought not to be in that budget because of various and sundry reasons, should we pursue that further or what?
Yes, we can.
I think if it does mess things up,
I'd like to see it stand alone as a line item.
I'd like to see it stand alone because it doesn't make sense. It's not part of our budget.
No,
It almost makes it look like it's a branch of our library.
It might have been put there for convenience as far as doing it. I don't think there'll be a problem putting it by itself. It's just a matter of not paperwork, but just plugging it a different place. So I don't think that's going to be an issue if that's what everybody agrees to.
it came up last year, didn't prevail. We'll try again this year.
I think it's because if I'm reading these account number rights correctly, our library account is 610-01-610. That's all library accounts.
Yeah.
So they put it under that?
Yes.
One of those
Yeah.
accounts?
Northfield Farms is 01-610-5300.
Yes.
So I think that's why.
It's in that category.
Right.
Knowing the circumstances of it, that it's not town funded, town operated.
Right.
It's kind of a neighborhood type thing, been there for years and years, but,
Whoever wants to get a branch of our library, then that would be the correct place.
yes, but it's not a branch.
I know.
Okay, all right, Tony, good point. I've made a note of that. We'll see what we can do on that. As long as it's not put in there and affecting the state requirement, that's.
No, we do, when we send in our state aid information, when we fill out the forms, we do count the Northfield Farms budget. It's part of our state aid. They do a form and we do a form, and it goes in together as the town of Northfield. So we do count that $700, but it just seems strange that it's in our budget.
Okay, that's the point. It's not just, we're saying it doesn't belong in this library, in Dickinson's budget.
Right.
We're all in favor of it, of giving that money, supporting it with that money.
No money in the budget.
Okay. Anything else anybody wants to bring up? Any questions you or John have of us?
No, we're just crossing our fingers that, we can just fund the library.
I see on different Facebook and so forth the different services you're offering, and I think you're doing a great job.
We've been very busy. We've been very, very busy. I'd say this past 9 months we've worked harder than ever.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, we've been curb service, really, I guess, or front step service, whatever.
And appointments and virtual programs. Yeah, it's good.
A lot of different programs for the kids during this time and everything, so
Yeah.
very much appreciated. Thank you. All right, if there are no other questions, I think we're all set with you, and thank you, and John, for participating. Okay, all right. Okay, John.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye. Please, I'll get out of there. Get out of here, John.
Okay, next we have the Council on Aging, and they're here, I see.
not, Bob's here, I know.
Yeah, but time-wise, he's next. He's not the next one.
I know. Is she here?
Yeah, here, hi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yes,
know.
Bob. I know Bob.
And-
Yeah.
I think Tony is here too. He's,
Yeah, it's
I'm here.
Steve Tony. And did you have another, Frank?
Frank is actually on the road. He just texted me and said he's still driving, so he didn't want to zoom and drive.
Okay. All right. So that's a good idea. Okay. So we have, I have it anyway, your budget. And you participated last year by coming into our meeting. That was your first year, wasn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So we're looking to have explanations of any increases. And you've got some increases here. So would you like to tell us about them as what they represent?
Sure. We had increased the line items for the other purchases and some of, I can't remember the specific names, the other office supplies and other charges. And that was because during COVID, we have actually, we've grown tremendously. Our membership has increased, and that's likely because people, figured out they could Zoom in and like this and, participate remotely. And they also, the need for services, direct services increased, like foods, food assistance and fuel assistance and things like that. So we are anticipating that when we reopen in person, we still don't know how long, what any kind of timeline is going to look like. But when we do that, we would like for the place to be a little bit more, we want to refurbish it a little bit. We want to make it look homey, welcoming, different from the way it did look, because we just want to sort of refresh everything and, put a fresh literal coat of paint on it.
Yeah.
We discussed the sort of fantasy that we would have a cafe. We weren't really quite serious about getting an espresso machine, but a place where people would actually want to come and meet and talk, and where it would be welcoming to events and to people just to meet informally. And so for renovating the flooring and furniture, and we were in conversation with some members of the Council on Aging who in their pre-retirement career were interior designers, to see how we can restructure the space we have to make it functional for this kind of activity.
You're thinking more like a drop-in center type of thing?
I think so, or a place that once in a, it was 3 years ago we had a coffee shop that also sold used books, and people tended to drop in there. Maybe not everybody in town, but the community of people who went there really liked doing it. And if we can create some of that atmosphere, we think it would be a good thing.
Yeah. There's one thing I want to address, and that's you speak about fixing the floor. I know it looks terrible. And of course, up until maybe, 3 years ago, the floor was redone every year. And then I know one person that did it couldn't do it anymore. I think they had somebody else. And I think now for a few years it just has not been done. And I don't like the looks of it. You go in the back door, which is the entrance to the town hall now, it's mostly used, looks terrible. However, I have said, and the Finance Committee has supported this, I'm quite sure, we don't want to put money into fixing the flooring until they fix that drainage in the parking lot, because you all have to walk around the puddles there when there is water. And it was about, I thought I had it here, about 3 years ago, I'll say, that $100,000 was appropriated to fix the drainage problem, and it has not been done yet. and I'm not sure that they know what will work, because you can't drain off to any of the abutters' property, which is understandable. So there's got to be a solution come to that situation. I believe that the water came up around some of the posts there, so I think those tiles were cracked, and some have been replaced, maybe some have not, I don't know. Jack, do you have some recollection of that?
Yeah, a couple times the basement flooded pretty good. Everything was submerged to at least half an inch or so. So it can get pretty bad.
So we know the need is there for the floor, but really to put in a new floor before you fix the drainage problem, we don't think it would be advisable. But we do know that it's needed and don't have a problem with, I'm sure we support that sort of thing. Do you have any questions about that?
I don't think so. I don't think we've thought that far ahead. I mean, we have ideas about, wouldn't it be nice to have a wood-looking floor or a warmer look to the whole thing. But we, as far as practical elements go, we haven't thought that far ahead. And yeah, we would have to absolutely have to do research into how to do those things and get permission from the town and all that.
Sure. Well, when the time comes that the drainage problem gets resolved, then it'll be time to talk about what type of floor might be best down there and what you like. So basically what you've done, let me see if I've got this right, that you've put into your budget some of these items that you'd like to make it more homey down there, like the furniture and that sort of thing.
Yes, furniture and lighting were two things that we thought of.
Okay, tell us about the lighting.
Maybe just, we had thoughts about maybe standing lamps or just something else other than the fluorescent lights that are currently in there. I think they've been changed to LEDs, so they're not technically fluorescent, but very, very bright. And we've had a couple of people over the last year who've said that wouldn't it be nice to have a coffee house type concert every now and then, or book club, or a poetry reading, so we're just trying to help create some atmosphere.
Sure. Thinking about all the money that we put into the town hall for electrical work, to upgrade all the electrical work, but you're not talking about, are you talking about taking out some of the lighting that's there?
Not at all.
Okay.
Creating alternatives, I guess that.
Yes.
She's looking for an ambiance kind of thing as far as doing that. So probably turning off the overhead lights and having some freestanding lights is, I think, what they're thinking about.
At times, yeah. All right. So basically, that is why some of these items have gone up. There are about 3 of them that have gone up, I think. So
I want to back up a second, though, because just so I don't know if everybody knew, they were out a week or so ago just checking on the parking lot, doing a lot of surveying, checking things out, and anticipating trying to do something. So it's not been put on the way back burner. It's just still out there. So they have had some people come in, do some surveying, do some looking at all the property all the way around the building, and anticipating doing something about that. So.
Good. Okay, thanks, Dan.
Yep.
So maybe hope,
Might be able to, I hope we'll have that in a interest-bearing account so we can help.
Okay. All right. Any questions from Finance Committee members here about this, about the budget?
No?
On that thing, the one thing that I did get from the Council on Aging is they talked about getting a storage.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
That kind of ties in with the siting of it and the water problem on the back parking lot where you put it. But they have also asked for some money from the Community Preservation Committee.
Okay.
So initial response was positive, and so they'll probably get some help from the Community Preservation Committee for that, something about that shed.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Will you tell us, it says a shed to store some of your materials in or something. You want to tell us about that?
Sure. We have gotten, again, since the pandemic, we have actually gotten some donations of equipment that people who, I guess the Triad folks are not taking equipment currently, so we have received some wheelchairs and walkers and that kind of thing, which makes our closet full. And then in addition to that, we have recreation equipment that we always try to find a place to store. And if we store it in our main room, of course, it just makes the place look, junky. It doesn't look good. So we were thinking in our last meeting about alternatives, or I guess a couple of meetings ago, and somebody mentioned having a shed out back that would be, used to store mostly the recreational equipment. And then we could get more recreational equipment eventually. A pickleball thing has been talked about, and things like that. Other equipment, refurbishing the horseshoe area, and we could put all that in a shed, and then have our closet be more for what we would like to store everyday items. Get in and out of the closet.
The director can still reach her desk from the door to her office, but.
That's where you
are
dash it behind the door or something? Okay.
The equipment, the handicap equipment, wheelchairs and stuff like that, they do take up an awful lot of space. I speak from experience here, and that certainly would be a good idea to get that stuff somewhere else. So rather than in and around the senior center room.
Yeah, we have currently a couple of wheelchairs and walkers, and then some bed rails that just take up a lot of space.
There used to be a narrow closet. They made it into a closet, I guess, down there in the basement of the town hall, that they stored some of that sort of thing in. I don't even know if they use that now.
There's a little bit of junk and stuff in there. I think the police were using that one time. I think that's where one of their bikes are. But
oh yeah, okay.
So that's the only thing I think is in there now.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it would take the place of the shed or anything. So, where do you envision the shed out there near the pavilion?
Yes, we did go write up a proposal for the CPC and took some pictures of the back of the Boy Scout shed, which is where we thought maybe we could put this theoretical shed. We also got some quotes from a local shed provider for a 10 by 10 and a 12 by 12. And then the CPC has come back to us with a couple of suggestions, I guess. Representatives have come back with suggestions to look into other ideas for a metal shed and things like that. So we're still in the process of doing all that.
Have you given any thought to having the tech school build one? Then you don't have to pay for the materials. We've had them do some things, and actually the sheriff's department has done stuff too.
That's a great idea. No, we haven't looked into that, but that is a great idea.
Yeah.
I think the main issue for us is also trying to figure out the right site location, because one person came to me today and mentioned that behind the Boy Scout shed area is inaccessible in winter if there's snow. So it didn't occur to us because there isn't any snow right now. But
Right. So we don't have a figure, do we, as to any estimate yet on the cost of this?
no, our ballpark is around $3,000 or $4,000. And some of that would come from our gift fund.
Okay, I noticed that you had that down. When you say some, we need we need to know more specific figures, as to what you're looking for from the town, if it comes down to that. But
Okay.
Dan's suggestion there is free labor, if you can get, but as far as the tech school, sometimes you have to get on a list, wait for your turn to get something done. It might not be in right away. I don't know. They do good work, and so do the sheriff's department. The town hall has had painting done, work done, the upstairs meeting room, that sort of thing. So that's a good possibility, Dan. So I guess you're working on what you really want, what you really need, and where you want it. And so when you spoke about prices, you were talking about ready-made ones, I believe.
Yes, right, from the French King Shed place.
Okay.
The Community Preservation Committee
Tony's
got
on.
a storage shed for the Recreation Committee that is out behind the, for storage, out behind the elementary school. So you might want to take a look at that and see if perhaps might be something that you would consider also.
Yes, we will. We plan to talk to them and find out what that would entail.
Because that cost in the same neighborhood as you're talking about, price-wise.
And it's more durable, or?
It's steel. It's not wood. It's rodent-proof. The rec commission is very happy with it, so you might want to talk with somebody about that too.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from any of the finance committee?
Oh, we have the one issue from the Council on Aging, their request for the capital purchase of the range or stove for the senior center.
Yeah?
So have you gotten a clearer estimate of a purchase of the new stove?
Have we? No.
No. Because we had some general figures, but nothing concrete as of yet.
No, I didn't realize I was supposed to do that. I'm sorry.
Well, let's talk about that. My concern is that going through our process here doesn't make money available until July 1st. Now, I don't like to see you having to use something that's unsafe. Maybe it's good that you're not meeting more frequently in there, to be serving more meals. And somebody having to get down on the floor to light the stove is not my idea of what we ought to be doing. But you're saying that you can get by until, like, this would be July 1st to have the money available. I mean, I know you could go out and get bids and so forth, but you wouldn't be able to spend any money till July 1st. I don't have a problem with replacing the stove. I don't imagine any of us do. It sounds certainly like it's outlived its usefulness. But are you sure you're okay until July 1st?
We're using it at the moment, and right now the only issue has been that I have to call the highway department when I have to, although we've now hired a maintenance guy, so I won't be doing that anymore. But I was needing to call somebody in to relight the burners because of the issue of having to lie down and go backwards up under the stove to light it.
Yes.
It takes two people, basically. Somebody has to push a button and somebody else has to reach in and light the stove. And I can't speak to it is not entirely safe, but I don't think it's immediately dangerous. I don't know, because
How often do you use this stove, and how often does the pilot light go out and cause this need?
Yeah, we use the stove once a month at the moment to cook a lunch. So we don't use it very often right now. We may ramp that up to twice a month in the spring. I don't know. And then the pilot lights have gone out at least a couple times since the fall, when there has been wind and when there has been power outage. That's what I've noticed. And then the lights, what happens is the power goes out, and when the power comes back on, for some reason, it allows the gas to come on, but not the light. The pilot lights are not on. I don't know why. I have no idea. It allows people to, I mean, I don't know how it works, but apparently the pilot lights go out, but the gas is still going.
We spoke about whether you got prices or not and so forth, but you go through the administrator getting prices on, you know, you put information in here about the type of stove that you want. We got that and so forth. So you should get help on you wouldn't have to go out and purchase it yourselves. It would be.
It's also a multi-use room. That's one reason I was trying to I wasn't sure if I needed to, you know, have other input, because it's not only the senior center. It's you know, whatever groups cook in there.
Yeah, I don't know who else uses it right now. Well, right now it's different anyway.
Right now it's just us.
Yeah. Okay, so any finance committee members have any concerns about that?
Just make sure when you're getting prices for this, you include cost for a plumber or gas fitter to install it. Don't go cheap on yourselves. Leave yourself some contingency.
Will do. Thank you.
Good advice. Yes, you want it ready to use when they walk out of there. You get it all grouped up right. Yes, we don't expect you to have to do that. So that's good advice, Jack. Okay, anything else anybody wants to bring up? We've talked about the budget. We've talked about the stove and the possibility of. Now, when you talk about furniture, I take it this is movable furniture. This is nothing that's going to be anchored down in place there or anything like that.
No, nothing permanent. Like I said in the little narrative piece, just the like things that aren't cloth, so that they can be cleaned easier, and then some furniture that looks a little better, that's, you know, a little more comfortable, is what people were thinking.
I don't know when there was ever any furniture bought specifically for that as a senior center. Probably just whatever was there. I don't know, chairs and so forth. So, and tables, yeah. All right, is there anything else we need to ask about? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
And Bob, you're here. Okay, all right, now I see. Okay, so Bob is here for two purposes. And right, you're still chairman of the assessors, right? And chairman of the Board of Health.
Vice chair of the assessors.
Right, you got Beth running it?
No, Alice, the Lord.
Oh. Well,
Alice be Lord.
Now, should I have included her then? Must have. And are you prepared to talk on the budget then for the assessors?
No, I don't have it with me. Beth, do you have it with you?
Yeah, I have a presentation.
But
She's a soldier.
You just got home.
It's like a doctor in a room, Beth.
I can call Alice in some other time if you want.
Well, we met as a board last week, and we went over everything. So I guess it's up to you. I have a presentation on it. We have a couple items that increased, but it's up to you.
I'm okay with it.
You can do it.
Go
ahead.
I just don't want her to feel that she's been left out deliberately or anything.
Oh.
No, I mean, when we were doing our budget, we knew that it was a little bit late because Andrea wanted it, I think, the week before, but because we hadn't met, so I explained to her that we would be meeting. So, I mean, Alice is, I don't want to speak for Alice, but I mean, she's pretty good about just having things.
Okay, so why don't we go through it then for any increases that are in it.
Okay, so we had a couple increases. We had the first one being for our mapping services,
yes.
Cartographic. They went up $300. So they're the only mapping company that is around. So it's a contract with them. So that's that increase.
Okay.
Then the next increase is our large increase. It's for our property inspection services. So
yes.
fiscal 22 is actually a reval year. So on a normal interim year, it's about 16,500. That's what it's been for. Actually, I think last year was 16,800. I'm sorry. However, the state has changed their requirements for what they want towns to do, and I went out for a bid for the property inspection services because the state wants the towns to now do appraisals on all 504 accounts. So a 504 account is public utilities, transmission, and distributions. So that's taxable personal property that includes underground conduits, wires, pipes, wherever they're located, poles and wires on private ways, and machinery used in the manufacture. So our two 504 accounts are Western Mass Electric. One goes by N-Star and one goes by Neon. What that entails is it's adding another appraisal system. So we had to ask the people that would be doing it to take on that. So they have to actually purchase the special appraising software system. I think there are books too on how to do it. And what the state wants the assessors to do is take the values that come in from these companies and then take what the towns and the appraisals come up, and you're supposed to meet somewhere in the middle. And that's how you get your new value. Because what's happening now is the entities report to us and we have to take what they give. And there's been a lot of ATB cases and arguments between the towns and these entities because the towns aren't getting the proper value. The companies are really lowballing their values. So these 504 accounts total about $69 million in value. So I anticipate we should be getting a little bit more revenue just because I think the values will go up because we'll actually be trying to get more reported accurately. So that's why our cost went up about $5,000 just for the special appraising books and software. And given it's a reval year, it goes up a little bit anyway. So I think the last reval year was 20,000. I think it was around 20,000. This year it's 25,500.
Okay.
The good news is, I guess, if there is some good news to it, is our reval after this year will then go, instead of every 3 years, it will be every 5 years. So we won't have to do that cost again for 5 years.
Okay. Now, this reval of the mountain project that we share with Irving.
Yep.
I was a little bit surprised to see it come in that we're paying 50% of it because I thought we were more like 60-40 or something like that.
So what happened was we weren't getting the full appraisal of it. Irving was going out to bid and we were just using our portion. So in order to get a complete appraisal done, the thought process was that the total cost is $70,000. So if we went on our own, we'd have to pay $70,000. If we went in on it half and had equal rights, and we had just as much say as Irving, it's $35,000. So that was our reasoning. We did try to look into having Montague and Gill participate, but it was getting too complicated because there's two different entities. So we felt going in at least half is still saving. It's an expensive project, but it's something that we have to get done.
How frequently is that?
So I believe we're going to have to do an interim. So on our capital plan, I did put in for what we were quoted for an interim, and I believe it was about $24,000. So I think, let me just look. Sorry, I'm just looking on my sheet. Yeah, I think the interim was quoted at 46, so our cost would be 24 for an interim
It's
here.
a 45,000.
Did I have 45?
On this capital request.
Oh, okay.
No, there's another one there that says it's 23,310
Oh,
for the
okay.
interim.
Yes, thank you, Sue. Yep.
All right. Oh,
But that's for fiscal year 2024, right?
Correct. Yep. So we're hoping, yes, that we wouldn't have to do one until fiscal 24.
okay. All right. Any questions from other members?
No. This agreement with Irving for the reval, will you be able to independently consult with the consultant? I know before you were not able to.
Yes. So we have full rights to act. We'll get our own copy of the appraisal. The difference, so with First Light, we used to have 116 parcels that were with First Light. First Light split into two entities. So now the appraisal consists of 36 parcels. And then the other portion is going to be treated separately. That doesn't need a special appraisal. But yes, Jack, we will have full access to everything.
So your questions for the consultant wouldn't have to be screened by Irving. You talk directly to the consultant.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to be very transparent and work together. So if we do have questions via email, we like Andrea's always included, their town administrators included. I don't know once we get everything back, what route we're taking, I don't know. So we might have questions that we might need to ask them for clarifications that we could meet with them separately.
Okay. Sounds good.
This became very untenable, and we had several meetings with Irving, the assessors, and there was just no meeting on it with one of the players, and it would be impossible to go out and buy it and have another evaluation done, because then you'd have 2 or 3 evaluations, and it would have just been so confusing, and the state wouldn't have been very happy. So this was really our only alternative.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, anybody? Okay. I think that's it for that.
Beth, did you put down your 50% pay raise on the form too? Or?
No, left that one.
That's right.
That's it.
That was a reduction, wasn't it?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, now, Bob, you will admit to owning the Board of Health, won't you?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Hey, before we start, Bob, basically we've had a lot of people have been really trying to come in and get the dump stickers, transfer station stickers. They're being very good about using the the lockbox out back, sending it in, and doing it all online. But it's still going to take a while because they're not used to doing it that way. So have the people be patient. Everybody's trying as hard as they can to get it in. I sometimes meet the people right at the front door, don't let them in the building, but they will pay me and I'll give them their sticker. So the people are aware that they need one and are coming in. It's quick, but since we're closed, it's hard for them to get in.
Oh, sure. I've mentioned that to people too, to the attendants and to people that have come in. Said I couldn't get the sticker. I said we'll be patient. We'll wait for that.
Well, there's really no excuse because it's online how they can get it, but, reminding them is not a bad thing. But to date, we have about 220 people that have gotten their stickers. And I'll put a list together for the people over there in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay. All right. We've got your budget here, and the first section is the transfer station. And there's an increase here. Usually I get a copy of the solid waste assignment or whatever they call it, our portion that we have to get. And I haven't seen it this year, but I imagine that's where she got this figure and it went up.
13,716, that's what it went up to. The assessment for this year was 13,331.
Yeah, so that's the change.
That went up $495.
Yeah. $495. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Right.
And that was from the solid waste district.
Yep. Their assessment they all voted on to.
Yes.
And that has to do with EQV and population, so that's not something we can do much about.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Tried to essentially level fund the budget. We didn't go up any places.
Good. Okay. Let's see, the nurse fee went up a little.
There's no way to know where that's going to go to. We hear from Phoebe, and Phoebe Walker is saying that every meetings, and there's been a lot more cases, and so the initial 14.8 was the price we bought in for. That will go up. I don't know what it'll go up to at this point. I think I increased it by 0.15 or something. I just did a slight increase. I don't know what they're going to come out with. There was an email to Andrea today from Phoebe, and there'll be another group. I've been going to Zoom meetings that the FERCOG has that puts on, and so I don't know. They've had to hire other nurses. There's quite a few nurses working, public health nurses, doing contract tracing.
They started with just Lisa White, didn't they?
Yeah, Lisa, there might have been another one there, but they've had to hire. There's probably 4, 5, 6 of them now.
I see. Okay.
The school hired a nurse, and she's local. She's not part of the COG, so the college, that is. It's involved. There's a lot more cases. When they're talking case, that's a positive PCR, just a positive test. Yeah. It doesn't speak to how sick anyone is or isn't. So it's an interesting situation. But any case has to be contact traced. And for instance, there were, I don't want to go too much, but a couple of cases, and it involved about 18 people quarantining. So that becomes a big issue. And how quickly they get the results of the test. Because if somebody gets a PCR test, that goes into a system called MAVEN, a computerized system. And that's how they're notified. And then they have to contact people that have been the person and say, who have you been around for the last 4 or 5 days? Yeah. And this kind of thing. So it's pretty involved. I don't know how great it's going to work out in the end, but there's a lot of, the hope is that this illness is attenuating and that it's not as deadly as it was. I hope, but you look at California, there's an awful lot of people in the nursing home.
Yeah. Okay, other increases that you might have had in here. Telephone went up a little bit. Postage, yeah. Postage went up $400, I think it was.
Did it?
I got the line right. Seems like quite a lot.
Postage went up to 4, or
Yeah.
I didn't intend that. I thought we left it alone.
I don't know. Somebody else look at it there and see if I'm right. It's down toward the bottom.
Under the Board of Health, you mean?
The postage went up from 100 to 400,
Yeah.
at least on my sheet.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Is there?
Postage? No, that's too high then. 100 is fine for that.
Okay. 100 is what it is. Then you mean, or 100 increase?
Yeah, that doesn't need to be 400.
All right. What do we bring it down to?
100.
100. Okay. And let's see what else. Above that was of the nurse, yeah, and then $50 was.
Which is that, Lois?
Oh, I think it's telephone, isn't it?
Telephone, yeah, $50.
Yeah, okay. Let's see, down, animal inspection. Some of these, for the finance committee, some of these that come out to odd cents, I don't want anything with odd cents on it. When we vote this, it's going to be rounded. I'm going to speak to her about that.
Yeah.
Well, she did it mathematically and came out with that, but, I know what it is. She took the COLA and applied it, and that's what comes out with odd cents.
Oh.
Apparently. So we'll round that. So anybody else have any questions or concerns about
I'm good.
budget?
I'm fine.
Good.
No?
Okay. Bob, anything else you want to ask us about?
No, I don't think so.
You come kind of busy with the COVID that's fallen onto the Board of Health, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, except that we wouldn't have been able to do it without the nursing component of the COG. That would have been impossible. So it's not bad. You know what's remarkable, though? The people buying trash bags, we're selling at least twice as many as ever. I'm shocked at it. And yep, and if you remember, the cost of the drivers, the salary the drivers made doubled. The state doubled that. That's still, they refuse to relent on that. But the tipping went up because now we're paying tipping on all the containers and paper and cardboard. And that was the thing that was going to be $93.50. But there was an allowance for market share. So the market has been going up on all those things. And now we're down to about $43 that we pay. The markets have really come back on plastic and a variety of things. So
Good.
yeah, that's going to be good. I bumped the figures up last year, and I don't have to do that again. I think we'll even be able to lower them at some point, depending. We'll see how it works.
Yeah.
Works now, but
Okay, that sounds good. Every little bit helps. But
Yep.
yes, I agree. I think it was the right time to go into the COG nursing program.
oh yeah,
It's too much for just amateurs to handle for the town, you know. I know you're a nurse and so forth, but still, it's too much to expect of a volunteer board to handle this type of thing, I think. So,
oh yeah, because it takes Maven and it takes someone full time, and we could not hire a nurse for anything like what we're paying them for. So it's money well spent. It's a necessity.
Yes, yeah. And I noticed that Phoebe, well, she's on some state commission now too, isn't she? But she's quoted in the paper quite often.
What do you mean, the lieutenant governor?
Yeah.
Joke.
Yeah, okay. Maybe so. Not today. Okay, anybody else have anything?
Bob, is the Board of Health doing anything to coordinate any kind of vaccine? Or is that not something you want to get involved in?
No, that's something we can't get involved in. It would take, you order it by a couple of hundred doses, and the COG is involved with that, and it's going to look like maybe several sites that would be available. The COG will be in charge of some of that. There's a couple of towns or cities that are doing it on their own, but you're talking about a health department and that variety of things. Okay. I've been talking, my suggestion to Phoebe was talk to the National Guard, and the Guard could put up tentage. One of the problems is where to get enough people to march people through and then watch them for a while. But if the Guard could put up tentage at the college, for instance, that would provide, and the Guard, I'm sure, would be happy to do that. They have Herman Nelson heaters, but this is Phoebe's job, and Phoebe is on a state commission and is making the trek to Boston quite a bit. So it's a nightmare. I actually took my dad to the Veterans Administration, and he's 94 years old, and he was immunized Friday, and I was immunized Friday, the first shot, and the VA is doing people 65 and above, and that's what's going to come out next month. February is they're reducing the age, I think, to 75, and so soon this is going to start to roll out, but the numbers and the time it's going to take is mind-blowing, just mind-blowing.
New Hampshire is using the National Guard, I understand. I talked to my nephew last night from New Hampshire, and he said they have to enroll through that process to get it. So, okay, anything else?
CVS has started, I don't know if everybody knows that, but they've started giving the COVID vaccine.
Yep, CVS and Walgreens are going to be doing it.
Well, CVS is doing it right now, and you have to get an appointment, but if you're in that first group, you can set up an appointment for that.
Yeah. That means you have to go into the CVS facility.
That's correct.
But they have to still follow the state rules as to the priorities, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Have to be, yeah. Okay.
One of the problems, too, is the vaccine. It depends. The Pfizer is in a 5-dose, multi-dose container, a vial, and the one we're probably going to get out here, the other one is 10-dose, and there's an extra dose in there. But you can't take that 10-dose, multi-dose vial away from the site. You can't. There's a whole bunch of rules and regulations that are going to be problematic. And I was talking to Lisa about how we might be able to go out and, vaccinate people at home, someone that's homebound or different things. So there's a lot of things that are going to be still on the drawing board and be attempted to be worked out.
That because of the number of doses and the time frame you have to use them up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem getting them to people that are homebound, I think.
Yeah, it will.
They're talking about. All right. Thank you very much, Bob. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go back to our agenda and take up the minutes of the last meeting. That would have been the January 11th meeting.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes for January 11th as written.
Is there a second?
Jack seconds.
Okay, motion has been made by Dan and seconded by Jack to accept the January 11th minutes as written. Any discussion? All in favor?
Dan Campbell says yes.
Jack says yes.
Sue?
Bernie Parada says yes.
Sue says yes.
Tony abstains.
And I'll say yes. Thank you. Okay. As you all know, Andrea is away for 2 weeks. So Jack had asked at the last meeting about the EMS, and as to what the vote was when it was founded, and also what the vote was in setting up the enterprise fund. And I did get to look that up, just the last thing here tonight. Annual town meeting of May of 2017, and it's request that funds be appropriated and expended directed. No, that was a drainage problem. Sorry, that was we talked about was senior center. But anyway, that the vote was to provide an EMS ambulance service for the town, and then there was a vote to set up the enterprise fund for the town. So basically, that's the way they read. Was that the type of thing you were looking for, Jack?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if it was a general enterprise fund or specific to the town.
For the town, I would say. I thought I had it, but I haven't got it right here. I had the town report. Wait a minute, here it is. Let's see. This was, they passed over a certain amount, 19,346 for the EMS wages and salaries account and their expense, but I think it was because they were setting up the enterprise fund. Let's see. Okay, here was, they voted to, the $30,096 to operate the ambulance enterprise fund. Salaries were $19,346, expenses $10,750, for a total of $30,096. And that be raised as follows. Tax levy at that time, $30,096. But that was, when it was set up the first time, so the town funded it that way. And that's the town report for 2010. And so, it just calls it the Ambulance Enterprise Fund. But I know when it was set up, it was to provide ambulance service for the town of Northfield. So, okay. I had, after this came out, the agenda came out with the town administrator listed on the agenda. She emailed that she, of course, would be away. Well, I knew that. I wanted her to give me the information so I could pass it on at the meeting. And I didn't hear anything. Just, in my mind, it's just unheard of that free cash has not yet been certified. October.
We're pretty close, because I had to look at some stuff. Beth might know a little bit more about that. No?
Who might know more?
No.
Say that again, Dan, please.
I'm just saying that I think they're close, because he's asking for some more information, or he could get into some different things with the state, and I had to open up a few items from DLS.
Oh, okay.
I think they're still working on finalizing some other numbers. That's the gist that I've been hearing, to get to that step of the free cash. But
And yet they were able to set the tax rate and had enough information for that then, apparently. Yeah. Okay.
Is that official though, Beth? It's not really official yet, is it, the tax rate?
yeah, we've already sent out bills. Yes.
Oh, I guess you have. That's right. I got mine. I take it back.
Yes.
It was a pleasant surprise, a little bit less.
Okay.
We did our jobs, people.
And I suppose, I don't remember what year we finished up with auditing. But of course they can't touch the audit until we get started on the audit for the year, until that's approved and they finish up with all the reports and so forth. Yeah, I need to know, and we all do, we need to know what money we're going to have available to spend this year. And that includes free cash, but it also, we have to get a figure. It's up to her to be giving that to us of the 2.5 on top of what we had and that sort of thing. And I don't have any of that information to work toward. Okay. Reports of other meetings attended and so forth. Tony, I'm curious where we stand, and I think some time ago, you were on the Heart Committee.
Yeah.
And you proposed a new 4-town agreement for the school district.
That's right.
And you submitted it, your Heart Committee, see if I'm right, submitted this to the school committee.
That's correct. Recommendations.
Yes. And eventually it would have to go to the state, I believe. And then it would have to go to the town meetings for votes. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, where is it? Do you have any idea?
No idea. Last I heard is they had a meeting where they discussed it at the school committee. And I was at that meeting, and I haven't heard anything about it since.
They didn't make any decision as to whether they were going to send it forward or not, did they?
No, they made a couple of changes to our recommendations, which we didn't agree with, but like I said, they're only recommendations, but we didn't. I haven't heard anything anywhere about what happened after that.
Yeah, I had found out from the superintendent that there is a subcommittee for this, but I don't know where they stand on it. And my concern is, and tell me if I'm wrong, but my concern is, with this needing to go to town meetings, I want to see some action on their part so that the towns can be voting on it this year at annual town meetings.
Well, it would be good.
It's been delayed quite a while now.
Lois, bringing that up, is there a closing date for articles been set?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Should come out pretty soon, I would think. I mean, I think we'd have to go ahead with our normal date of the first Monday in May for our annual town meeting. And this form, they submit it, but that doesn't mean that it's going on as an article. You're right, we need dates.
Also on that, the annual town election, I'm anticipating having it Tuesday after our town meeting, which I think is the 3rd.
Okay.
The only thing that's going to be different here that the town is going to have to chime in whether they want to do the nonpartisan caucus. I don't think we can do that. I don't think we can have the 25 people in the room. So
Right.
with that being said, the town is going to have to let me know if they, for nomination papers, I've asked town council to look at it and see if we can go by last year's numbers where we only needed to have 10 signatures, or do we have to have 20 signatures? So I'm working on that as we speak.
Good, okay.
Sometime in early part of February, we might be talking about a special town meeting to be taking place probably sometime in March, just to let you know that we're working on something. I'm working on something like that along with Andrea. So those are things that are going to be coming up. And I'll try to keep everybody informed if it's, especially the special town meeting.
What?
I'm sure that Andrea will anyway, so.
Okay. Anything that you can tell us that is causing us to have a special right now?
No, there's two things that need to be cleaned up as far as I know. Andrea hasn't been that specific. We know that our fund is down, and we know that at the end of the year, that usually gets drained out, so we didn't want it, she thought that the finance committee didn't want to be short on our funds there. There are a couple of other things, and basically, as we're if we don't see the end of the year, a lot of people chiming in and needing some money from us, I would just assume, not have one until May, but I'll be talking to her more once she and I are kind of back together again. I'm going to be gone as of Monday, and I don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks or less, but at least 2 weeks I'll be gone, and she's going to be gone for a little while too.
She'll be back on the 25th, I've been told. And is that when you're...
February?
Yeah, no, January. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Today's the 25th.
Okay.
No, she started her vacation today.
She started her vacation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's right. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Right now.
Okay, bye.